Welcome back. If you've been following this series, then you know we've been talking about what losing my Facebook group taught me about digital ownership. Day 1, we talked about what happened. Day 2, we talked about platform risk. Day 3, we talked about platform agnostic. And today we're closing down this series with the most important conversation: how to build an online ecosystem that survives platform shutdowns. If you guys don't know, I'm Danny Marie, podcast mentor, your podcast bestie, the strategist. Overall, just a good friend in the podcasting space. Make sure you follow me on all platforms. It is I, Danny Marie. But of course, thanks for those of you who have tapped in with this 4-part series where I shared some very personal things that have happened along my podcast journey, things that I want you all to walk away with more insight on how you could withstand the storm and avoid and bypass some of the things that have happened to me. But nonetheless, I host a weekly podcast meetup every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us with the podcast Peeps or my weekly podcast upload every Wednesday, giving you more podcast tips. Every Monday, I'm live across social media, giving you podcast weekly updates, including podcast terms, podcast news, some of my favorite podcast clips. So if you can't understand by now, I'm all things podcasting. And again, it is I, Danny Marie, across platforms. So the overall question is, if any of these platforms died today, would you be okay? Would you still be able to move as normal in your business operations? Or whether you are a creator, influencer, podcaster, business owner, will you still be able to do the thing that you do and show up, even if one of the platforms, all of them, a fraction of them went away? So if Instagram disappeared tomorrow, would you be okay? If Facebook shut down next week, are you cool? And if TikTok got banned, I know a lot of you guys were crying. It was like, bring out the violins. Because a lot of you all were so distraught that the TikTok ban was going to happen. And the thing is, you can't ever be so locked into the business that you don't have your ear to the streets and understand what's going on. So there were a lot of people who didn't take the TikTok ban seriously, the first TikTok ban. And you just were doing things and going with the flow and then trusting that TikTok is just so cool, because it does have the it factor. You just assume that business would continue as usual. And then a lot of you were sorely disappointed when you realized it was not for shits and giggles, for lack of better terms. It was actually a real thing, and you experienced the TikTok ban. But then TikTok came back less than 24 hours later, and all of you were so overjoyed and didn't even prepare for the second and third time that there was a TikTok scare. So you got to stop just going with the motions and letting things happen to you. And you have to have better control over your life and better control of your business. Even if the platforms are here today and gone tomorrow, you still need to be able to keep things afloat. All right. So that's the real question. If any of these platforms died, sis, are you cool? Bro, is we good? Does business continue? Most creators don't realize this until something actually happens. So today we're breaking down how platforms should actually fit into your ecosystem. Now, my first segment, the mistake that every creator makes. Your first mistake is not going back to go watch episode 1, 2, and 3. This is day 4. So we've arrived at the end of this 4-part series, but you can always go back. We talked about evergreen content in one of my clips before. That's evergreen content. This content will still be relevant on YouTube as a long form video for people to go back and watch and listen, because somewhere on their journey, they're going to run into the same problems and they're looking for information on ways to successfully get out. But you don't even have to wait until this happens to you. You could be proactive and you can make the changes now so you can fall softly on your feet when these things do come up later. All right. The first mistake that creators make is thinking every platform serves every purpose. Every platform does not serve every purpose, nor is your demographic, your audience, your listener, your buyer, your customer, your client, nor is every one of your people or persons on every platform. So you have to understand who your audience is and figure out where they hang out, not just online, but also in person. All right. But we sometimes confuse the fact that not all of these platforms do the same thing, because a lot of the platforms do try to bring in a lot of different verticals onto the platform. So YouTube, now it has a community hub, it has an RSS feed, it has a spot for courses, it has a spot for your long form, it has a spot for your short form. Instagram, broadcast channel, reels, shorts, your regular posts and carousels. It has everything on that platform. Fan base, they have like 7 verticals. Social audio is my favorite. Lives, stories, fan base plus, meaning your long form content, exclusive behind the paywall. So all of these platforms kind of do dibble and dabble in everything, but that doesn't mean they all execute everything very well. So fan base, their unique value proposition are the social audio rooms. Whereas Facebook, their unique value proposition might be, the fan base marketplace or the Facebook groups. The Facebook marketplace or the Facebook groups. So not every platform, though many of them do have many verticals, not all of them are successful achieving and rising to the occasion for every one of those verticals. LinkedIn, very unique. You're probably not going to get a lot of people interested in your shorts and your reels on LinkedIn, though that's something that they're currently pushing. But going live to talk about an important topic or doing a webinar on LinkedIn for busy professionals, or networking and finding your high ticket paying client, I can trust, or looking for a job, I can trust that I can get those things from LinkedIn. So every platform has its own unique value proposition. You need to make sure you're clear as to what that is. Instagram, we know, is for like the aesthetics, lifestyle content. Facebook, again, it's probably where your friends and family are. You'll probably do your most networking in your forums and groups. LinkedIn, I'm probably going to network with business-minded individuals in a way for me to showcase my expertise and my portfolio. TikTok is doom scrolling, TikTok shop, gamification, and lives, right? So be clear and then know why you're going on each platform to post. So I'm going to use Facebook for what Facebook is intended for. I'm going to use Substack to do my blogs and long form content, all of my writing and text. I'm going to use Threads just to kind of test the market and see what things stick, throw some conversation starters out there and get some quick responses. So again, knowing which platform serves what purpose is instrumental. And then you're not spending unnecessary time on any one of the platforms doing things that are not going to serve the bigger picture, that are not going to help your business, right? So it's not just posting, but it's posting with intentionality. And when you're posting just for the sake of posting, you have activity. But when you're posting and there's intention behind it, you have a community that you're trying to build, you have a strong call to action, you have a funnel and different ways that you nurture your people, your person. So maybe the first point of contact is, hey, comment the word podcast and I'll send you the link to my latest episode. And now you're nurturing that potential lead or customer or listener or whatever. Now you're nurturing that relationship. So then you follow up with them in the DM, and then you take it a step further and you're kind of just coaxing and milking that relationship until they want to do more business with you, or if they want to buy into whatever it is you offer, right? So when you have intentionality and you post with purpose and you have a call to action, then it's no longer just activity and things that you do on social media, but now you're building an ecosystem. Posting content does not equal building a system. And when you don't have a system, the moment a platform changes something, you will feel it immediately. Your reach will drop. And not to say that these things don't happen to all influencers, but sometimes what I've learned in my research is influencers get comfortable, and you can't get comfortable. Or if you do get comfortable, be comfortable in your own ecosystem. You know why I love B. Simone? She gets so much hate all of the time. Everybody wants to cancel her every other week. But guess what? Her program never stopped. She's still, even stressed and all, she still learns how to leverage that content. She'll put it up on her Patreon. She built her own app, so she doesn't even have to deal with all of the haters. She created a nurturing system within her own community that feeds her soul, that still lines her pockets, and still pours into her community by creating something of her own, right? Many of you guys don't have that liberty because you're not creating off the platform. Everything you do is tied to social media. All right. Think of it like a city. Segment 2. The easiest way to understand this is to think of your business like a city. In a city, you have what? You have your hospitals, your schools, your restaurants, your apartment buildings, your churches, your office buildings. Every building has a different job. You wouldn't expect a hospital to also be a grocery store and a school at the same time. But creators treat platforms just like that. They expect Instagram to be their marketing platform, their business platform, their email list, their store, their community, their everything. And that's why they burn out, because every platform is supposed to have one job. When each platform has a job, the system works. All right, let's talk about discovery. The first layer of your ecosystem is discovery platforms. These are the places where your people find you for the first time. All right, Instagram. How do you get discovered there? Likely your trials, reels, and stories. That's how you get discovered on Instagram. TikTok, I guess the For You page, I'm not as familiar with, and probably your lives, though I think they just drop a ton of bots into people's lives, especially starting out, just to kind of test the waters and see if your content is good. They'll throw a lot of bots in there. Facebook, how do people discover you? You're probably going to get discovered more times than not through Facebook communities or through your events on Facebook. Talking about people finding you, unless you're like a really big influencer, they're not really finding you otherwise, because average people are not getting shown to many people in the algorithm unless you make your presence known in Facebook communities like the groups, or If you create a ton of events, right, on Facebook events and have people share it that way, sometimes your pages as well can gain a lot of momentum if you know how to really lean into building out a Facebook page. LinkedIn discoverability may happen by a lot of times just connecting, word of mouth. I think the way that they set up the connections, it's like 6 degrees of separation on LinkedIn. So you can see this person follows this person's connected to that person, and then, it'll just make it that much easier for you to connect based on who your connections are connected to. Also, hosting events is really successful on LinkedIn from what I can tell. And then I've gotten pretty good impressions in the past couple of weeks just by going live. And I don't even go over on LinkedIn often. I have systems that work for me, but I check my analytics. And just by going live, people are kind of like migrating to my page, peeking to see what is Danny Marie, who's this person. YouTube Shorts is the easiest way to get discovered. And now if you're kind of like a budding content creator, like you're on the rise and you're doing some numbers, they will give people the ability to hype you up. Hype me up. I hype me up. Okay, so someone could essentially press the hype button, and that helps you move up in the top of the algorithms on YouTube. Twitter, I can't even say I'm not over there. I have no interest of being over there. But I know if you say something really salacious for the most part, then that can get you numbers. But aside from that, I don't know anything. You guys let me know in the comments. How does it work over there in the Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, in the worlds of X, because I don't know. So the job of these platforms is simple. Helps you get discovered. That's it. Now, what you do once you gain a new follower or when someone likes you is different. But think of Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Think of them as billboards, your digital billboard on the internet. They introduce people to your ideas, but they are not your business. And this is where creators are getting confused because they think their followers equal ownership. Followers belong to the platform, and it's incredibly difficult to get other people to move from platform to platform to platform with you unless you make it worth their while. All right? Next, when someone discovers you, the next step is relationship platforms. So this is where people begin to understand your voice, your thinking, your philosophy. So examples include a podcast, of course, YouTube channels, a blog, long form writing, your Substack. This is where depth happens. All right, because short content creates attention, but long form content creates trust. I just spoke about this Friday of last week to a room of about 20 Black entrepreneurs. Podcasting is one of those things that helps you establish trust. We know that people need to see you at least 7 times to believe you or to want to buy from you. And podcasting helps you establish trust as you're putting out long form content, giving them a way to engage with your content, and kind of check your pulse on important things to see if there's alignment. Like, why should they care? You establish that trust through channels like YouTube, your podcast, your blog, long writing, and Substack. And trust is the currency of the internet. People fall in love with the person before the product. That is why we're in a storytelling era right now. Like, you almost have to tell all of your business, not truly, but you almost have to tell all of your business just to gain a new follower. So, this is the way people are finding alignment and deciding if they want to engage and follow you and give you a subscription or not. So the only way they're going to take that next step is if you create a bridge, building something where they can discover you, and then nurturing that relationship. Building the relationship. I won't even say nurturing. That's probably the next level. So now, the most important ownership platforms. This is where you actually control the connection that you build. So your email list. One of the things I like to do, I do a lot of these different things at different times. And again, learning your ecosystem when you need to move and pivot and wave and ebb and flow into each of these things. Every now and again, when things feel a little stale, I like to do like an email campaign. So one of the email campaigns I did, I sent, for whoever opted into it, I sent them one news story a day over the course of 30 days about a Black podcaster and their journey into podcasting. And again, I did that around the time that things felt kind of stale. I was looking for a wave of new people, didn't want to have to do anything long-term or things that would feel like I didn't have the bandwidth or capacity to do. So putting together a quick email and telling the story of a Black podcaster was very effective. So that's how I built my email list when I was running out of things to do. I pivoted and I did an email campaign. Your website, that's how you control the connection. Whenever anything new is happening, when you're trying to remind people of anything, you can use your website. Now, again, there's going to be those moments where you are kind of stuck in the quicksand. There's no motion. You're there, but you're not gaining any traction. What you can be doing on your website is at least once a day, at least post a new blog, right? And that's helping your content, helping your website get discovered. And then you're providing education, you're providing value, and people are going to find you by what you share in the blog, and they'll decide if they want to stay or not. But once they're there on your website, they'll see about your services. They'll find your About Me page with your hero statement at the top of it, and they'll be, able to decide if, hey, this person aligns with my core values, my philosophy. I'm interested in seeing what else they talk about and if I want to work with that person or not. I talked about a story not so long ago. This guy, his name is Vincent. He found me. He said I kept appearing on his social media. So he reached out to me not once, but twice. And he called my AI assistant. And I finally had called him back like I would normally do because I prioritize my life and what's important. I called him back after missing him twice. And he was like, yeah, I found you on my Facebook feed, I think, because you're just everywhere. I kept seeing your name come up. So I reached out to you. Well, he's a cop from New York, and he's a white cop from New York. I want to say probably Italian guy. He gives me Italian New York vibes. And he's much older, right? So he's very much kind of stuck in his ways. And sometimes what he says to me could be taken offensively, right? Because he's like, the last thing he said to me was, yeah, Danny, thank you so much for your advice, because I found him again. I've reached out to him. I created a few things for him so he can see some of my work. And I'll comment a few times under his YouTube channel because that's just what I do. But I give people tips because I'm a podcaster and I notice things. So I noticed he has a lot of ways to go and a lot of work to do. But I commented. So he sent me an email after he hadn't spoke to me for so long. And he was like, yeah, Danny, thanks for your comment on my YouTube channel. I saw everything you sent me. I'll get back to you and I'll let you know if I want to hire you or not. I thought that was so funny. I don't even know why I'm telling this story, actually. I guess I'm talking about controlling the connection. Sometimes when you're kind of desperate, you'll let your clients and your people kind of talk to you that way. But when you kind of are settled into who you are, you know your niche, you know what you can deliver, you kind of settle into that. And so what he said to me may have offended someone else or may have made them feel so desperate where they're trying to appease him in any way just so that they can land that sale. But I responded to him, you know, you'll hire me, LOL. Any advice I give you will be for free. I don't mind giving it, but it's the things that are going to actually help you scale. That's when I'll charge you. So it's not like I'm desperate for you to hire me. But I think another thing I was talking about, and the reason why I brought it up, is that alignment piece, right? You have to know when you're just not aligned. So he didn't respond to me after that because he probably felt like I felt in his undertone that we probably are not aligned. And you guys should pay attention to that too when it comes to that deeper connection that you're building. This is why you should have something for everyone to meet everybody where they are at on their journey. So I have the free stuff, I have the membership stuff, I have the community stuff, I have the really lock in and we're going to work together. A lot of people are not ready for that level or that price point. So that's another reason why it filters out the people who are best aligned with you. Your email list, your website, and then your CRM. That helps you with your deepening the relationship. You can send emails automatically when you set up an automation. So you can set up a funnel that's automated to go out once a week, within the first 3 days, and then not another time until the 10 days after the first 3 days. So you can set it up however you need to, but automations in your CRM are key as well with nurturing a relationship and deepening that connection. And then text messages. People are no longer opening emails as much as they're now opening up their text messages. So their SMS list. So like one of my favorites is Luma. It's not even intended for SMS messaging, but it's for events. And people could be reminded of those events through SMS messaging. So it makes it that much more personal. Hey, we're live. We're jumping in this social audio room. Hey, we're live. We're about to jump on this webinar. Hey, we're live. I'm getting ready to go live on YouTube. But that's how you make people feel connected and meet them where they are at and stay top of mind for people. So these are the things that you own. If Instagram disappears tomorrow, your email list still exists. If YouTube changes their policies, your website still exists. This is why the smart creators always say build your own email lists, because email is portable. You can move it anywhere. You can use MailChimp, Substack, ConvertKit, Beehive, and your audience can move with you. And ownership platforms give you control, and control creates stability. And going back to that email list. Okay, so Substack, Beehive, ConvertKit, they all house the data in the cloud, But you can also at any point in time save that email list as a PDF file or as a spreadsheet, whatever, so that you have it. Even if those platforms were to, crumble, you still have the physical email address list. The last segment, I think that's actually two more. Segment 6, community platforms. The next layer is building community, right? So community is different from followers. Followers, they watch what you do. Community interacts with each other. Fan base, you're able to build a community. Like I said, my favorite vertical in fan base is the social audio. We can drop love on each other. It's not like a like. I feel so robbed sometimes coming out of fan base and going on other platforms because every interaction is monetization on fan base. Fan base, Discord, school, Patreon, membership groups is where you interact with your community. You're sharing exclusive stuff together. You're crying together. You're laughing together. You're watching things together. You're processing. You're maturing together. This is where your super supporters live. This is where people talk to each other, collaborate, share ideas, and build the culture and push the culture forward. And then you'll start to see the growth exponentially because that person will go back to their other friend group and tell people about how much fun they're having in your community. And then that's how it expands and grows out. Community creates stickiness. Followers will leave, communities stay. Segment 7, revenue platforms. The final layer is the revenue because attention is great, community is wonderful, but revenue platforms include things like Payhip, Stripe, Honeybook, Shopify, or Kajabi. This is where your products live. I will add Linktree. Linktree is actually super clutch. Doesn't take much for you to set it up. You can create everything on there now. And digital products for sure is the easiest thing. And that's where you can create a digital download. Somebody can use your Linktree, pay the $9, the $50, and immediately get the digital download. This is where your creator activity becomes a real business. All right. Finally, the ecosystem flow, and then I got to go. So when you put it all together, your ecosystem should flow like this: discovery, relationship, ownership, community, revenue. Someone finds you on social media, they listen to your podcast, they join your email lists, then they tap into your community, and they eventually buy your product or your service. And that is an ecosystem, not just content, it is a system. So this is the lesson that I learned about losing my Facebook group. Facebook was never the business. Facebook was one doorway into the ecosystem. And if one door closes, another one opens. I do have a creator quiz that I'm going to drop into the room. I'm going to drop this on YouTube. Let's see here. This is the creator quiz. You can use this quiz to test out where you are and if you have everything in place and if your platform can survive the test of time. Let me know how it goes. If you're catching the replay, comment the word replay. If you watch the live, comment the word live. Tomorrow, we are on, again, our virtual meetup. So I'm going to drop that link. And then my baby's getting off the bus, so I got to go. We call ourselves the Podcast Peeps. We are a meetup of podcasters every Saturday, same time, same place. So I just dropped that link in the chat as well. And last thing, plantopodcast.com for any other resources or information. We're so happy that we could end off this series on a high note. Make sure you're building your ecosystem. And then again, make sure you go back and watch those other videos so you can understand how it all comes together. I wish you all a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend. I'm Danny Marie. I'll catch you on the next go round. Peace.